Alright, this is 3C notes. We're going to be looking at graphing absolute value equations and inequalities. From your investigation, you should have gotten the following summary information. The general form of an absolute value equation is y equals a absolute value of x minus h plus k. This is called transformational graphing. We're going to look at a, h, and k. The vertex for our absolute value is hk. H is always going to move our graphs left or right. K is going to move our graphs up or down. A changes the width of the graph. It's called a vertical stretch. And if A is negative, the graph is flipped. Alright, let's look at an example using transformational graphing. Alright, it's an absolute value. We've got to remember that's going to look like a V. We need A and we need HK. Well, A in this case is 3/4. Our h, because it's minus in our general form, minus a -1, our h is going to be -1, and our k is -3. So that's our vertex. We always start by graphing the vertex first. So graph -1, -3, and then we're going to count a. So we're going to go up 3, right 4. And we're going to continue until we can't fit any more points on our graph. Up 3, right 4. Now to get the V, the other side, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to go up 3, left 4. Alright, connect your points. And there's your absolute value graph. Alright, let's review some information about an absolute value graph. This is a good review. So you may want to pause the video and try these and then start back up when you're ready to check. Alright, the domain in absolute value is all reals. The range starts at -3 and goes to infinity, but we include -3 and infinity is open. Our zeros, where does it touch the x-axis, are -5 and 3. So our intercepts, remember that includes x and y intercepts, and we write those as points. So we have -5, 0, 3, 0. All right, the y-intercept. We can't read it from the graph. Now we have the equation, so we want to find the exact y-intercept. We don't want to estimate anymore. So recall, to find a y-intercept, we're going to substitute 0 in for x and solve for y. So let's do that. So we're going to have y is equal to 3/4 absolute value. 0 plus 1 is 1 minus 3. All right, let's simplify this. So the absolute value is 1 times 3/4 is 3/4 minus 3. 3/4 minus 3 is -9/4. So my y-intercept is 0, -9/4. All right, increasing and decreasing intervals. Remember, we read from left to right and in terms of x. So negative infinity, we turn around at -1, and then positive infinity. So we're decreasing first, and then we're increasing. So increasing, we go from -1 to infinity, and remember they're always open. And decreasing is from -infinity to -1. All right, in behavior, we're looking at the ends of our graphs. As x approaches positive infinity, the right-hand side of the graph, what's y doing? It's going up. So that's positive infinity. All right, as x approaches negative infinity, what's y doing? It's still going up. So it's also in positive infinity. All right, we have no asymptotes and no points of discontinuity. Look at another example. All right, this time the k's out front. So don't let it fool you when they put the k in front. Sometimes when a is negative, they do that. So here my a is -1, so my graph's going to be flipped, and my vertex is 1, 2. Always graph your vertex first, 1, 2. And then we're going to move A down and right, all the way off the graph. And let's do the opposite, down and left. Here again, all the way off the graph. Connect your points. There's an absolute value. Alright, you want to try one? Pause the video. Alright, this time A is 3, and our vertex is 0, 1. Graph the vertex first, and then move A. So up 3, right 1. Here again, fit as many points as you can. Now do the opposite. Up 3, left 1. Connect your points. Alright, let's go backwards. Given the graph, let's go back and give the equation. Well, you got to recognize it's an absolute value, so you're going to write down the general form. This is what you have to commit to memory. So we need A and we need HK. Well, HK, remember, is our vertex, so it's 3, 2. Right 3, up 2. Our A, it's pointing up, our graph's pointing up, so we know it's positive. Pick a point on the graph, and we get to count slope in this case. So up 2 over 1, which gives us 2. Now we simply have to plug the numbers A, H, and K into the general form. You must have y equals or f of x equals. So h minus 3 plus 2. There's the equation. Alright, if you'd like to try it first, pause the video. Alright, still an absolute value, so general form. If you write it down every time you use it, you can't help but learn it or remember it. We need A and we need HK. Alright, vertex. This one is negative 2, 1. Now A this time it's facing down, so now my A is negative. Pick a point on your graph and count 2, 3. Alright, now we're ready to put it all in. So y equals, don't forget about that part, negative 2/3, x minus a negative 2, which makes it plus 2, plus 1. There's my equation. Alright, one more thing we need to do before we finish up. We're going to graph absolute value inequalities. And we have the following 3 steps. So first of all, you got to decide if you're going to have dashed or solid in a curve. Our curve this time is an absolute value. Dashed is when it's open, so greater than or less than. And solid's when it's closed, greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Well, since this one is greater than or equal to, we're going to be solid. Now we're going to graph our function. So A in this case is negative 1, and our vertex is negative 2, negative 1. Just like before, we're going to graph our vertex first, and then move A. So down and right. Here it's super important that you take it all the way off the coordinate plane. Do the opposite, down and left. Because our goal is to break our coordinate plane into two pieces. Something above our graph and something below. So we can know where to shade, which is step 3. Alright, we're solid, so we're going to connect our points. And now we have left to decide where to shade. So as long as the y is on the left-hand side, if y is greater than, we're going to shade below, if y is less than, we're going to shade below the function. And if y is greater than, we're going to shade above the function. Alright, we're greater than, so we're going to shade above. And to make sure we got it correct, we're going to pick a point and check it. Alright, so above would be here. This would be below, here's above. So I'm going to shade above. If you're not sure, you might want to pick your point first and check. Alright, any point in that shaded region is going to should make our inequality true. I'm going to keep it easier on myself, and I'm going to pick 0, 0. All right, let's plug it into our inequality and see if we make a true statement. So 0 greater than or equal to the opposite absolute value of 0 plus 2 is 2 minus 1. Absolute value of 2 is 2, but the opposite of 2 is negative 2 minus 1. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. 0 is greater than or equal to negative 3. That's a true statement, so we shade it correctly. All right, look at one more. This time we have less than, so it means we're going to be dashed. A is 3, and our vertex is 1, negative 3. Graph your vertex, 1, negative 3. Count A. Up 3, right 1. Here again, all the way off the graph. Now do the opposite. Up 3, left 1. Alright, now remember that we're dashed this time. My favorite mistake is to make it solid when it should be dashed, because you get in the habit of always drawing solid lines. So double check. Alright, y is on the left, and this is less than, so that means we're going to shade below. So this would be considered above, and here is below. And here again, we're going to pick a point and check to make sure we shade it correctly. If you're not sure what to shade, pick your point first. Alright, something in the shaded region. Can't use 0, 0 this time, or anything on my absolute value graph. Let's use negative 2, 0. I like to use zeros when I can. Alright, plug it into the original. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Absolute value of negative 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9 minus 3, which is 6. 0 is less than 6. That's true, so I shade it correctly. Let me know if you have any questions.